In fact, joining me now is Rushika Barwa, who has been speaking to these women who are completely traumatized at present, and their nightmare continues even now, Rushika, because after the drama of that night, day before yesterday, they still have locals passing aspersions on them. What was their takeaway? Are they going to now lodge a case against these Aam Aadmi Party workers who they say physically and verbally assaulted them?
Well, Padmaja, they haven't yet approached the police and therefore no case has been registered. But I have been speaking with not just the 4 women who were in fact confined to that taxi for several hours and then further taken for medical examination. But I've also spoken to a lot of women who live in that area. There are a lot of Nigerian, Ugandan nationals. There are also a lot of Persian nationals. So it's quite a mixed race really that occupies that particular area in South Delhi. And they feel extremely insecure, extremely disgruntled with the way this operation was carried out day before yesterday in the night. They also go on to say that the police was in fact on their side, and it was very puzzling for them, the entire situation, because the men who were questioning them or the men who were asking for confinement were in fact men who were not in uniform. So it was a very puzzling situation for them because they obviously didn't know that it was the law minister and members of the Aam Aadmi Party who were in fact there. So they're extremely disgruntled, and they've gone on to talk to us and tell us that they feel very insecure after this incident. They claim that they are here as working women. Obviously, the veracity of the fact that they're running a prostitution racket or a drug racket has not been established. There is no evidence that has proved that, and obviously they go on to deny it and say that one even went on to say that I run an export business and I have a business of clothes, etc. So what business do they have to actually come here and harass us like that? There are Indian nationals living in our country and we don't treat them the same way. So this has obviously raised larger questions of whether the Aam Aadmi Party is in fact justified in taking action like that against women.
In fact, just to clear the record, was anything ever discovered to prove that illegal activities were taking place on the premises occupied by these women? Was there any evidence whatsoever of any sort of prostitution or drug peddling taking place, Rushika?
Well, Padmaja, there are, one thing is rumor mills. Rumor mills do say that, yeah, there are nefarious activities. We've spoken to a lot of people who live in that area who in fact say that, locals who are very perturbed by the situation say that these Nigerians and Ugandans who are living in this particular area are in fact engaging in nefarious activities. There are allegations of drug trafficking, allegations of prostitution. However, while this entire incident took place, nothing of the sort could be established at that given point in time. Nothing of the sort has been established even now. So it's different to cast aspersions based on what local residents in that area say, but a whole different deal to actually find evidence or catch them red-handed. Remember, the medical examination did not prove anything. There were no traces of drugs that were found in the urine samples of these women who were in fact detained that night. And further, there was obviously no evidence of the fact that there are in fact brothels that are running out of that area, because it was not like it was a raid that was conducted and they were caught red-handed. This is information that the minister and the Aam Aadmi Party workers perhaps got from locals living in that area, and just on the basis of that intervention, on the basis of that information, they decided to go on with the intervention with no evidence whatsoever, and subsequently also medical examinations proving nothing of the sort.
In fact, a final question, just to talk about the larger picture, Rushika. The opinion seems to be divided now. While some locals are almost considering Somnath Bharti a hero for his tactics, the way he behaved day before yesterday night, there are also others who are now left questioning about whether public opinion will now spur action on the part of the Delhi government ministers.
Well, absolutely. That is, in fact, the larger question, because like I said, locals in that area, people living in that neighborhood have cast all kinds of aspersions. And just on the basis of those aspersions, in fact, this intervention was made. So there is absolutely no evidence, like I said earlier, of what has in fact happened. So it does definitely raise the larger question of whether, you can in fact cast such aspersions and allegations on, women of foreign origin, they are foreign nationals who've been living here.
Okay.
Whether or not this is justified is of course a larger question. But I'd just like to point out here that, it is this very government that in fact took to the streets fighting for women's rights, fighting for women's issues. It was a huge victory for them in the sense when they took to the streets with the Aam Aadmi, fighting for these issues. And today it seems that, they're discriminating against women on just the basis of what perhaps some local residents have said. So definitely it does raise a larger question on whether or not what the law minister has done is justified or not, Padmaja.
Thanks very much, Rushika Barwa, for joining us with that comprehensive update.